This episode of Her Design, Her Story is proudly sponsored by Royal Oak Floors, the founders of engineered oak flooring in Australia. Elegant yet durable, practical yet luxurious, Royal Oak Floors have formed the foundations of inspiring Australian architecture and interior design for over 20 years, with flooring products that are uniquely tailored to Australian lifestyles. Royal Oak Floors is proud to announce the launch of 4 new colours in its renowned architect collection, the result of collaborative workshops in which design professionals shared emerging trends, unmet needs, and evolving preferences in Australian interiors. We're proud to partner with a brand that values craftsmanship, sustainability, and the stories behind every space. Explore the new colours at royaloakfloors.com.au. Today's guest is artist, maker, and creative force Sarah Stamm, founder and principal artist of Salisbury Maude. Growing up in Albury, Sarah says becoming an artist was never really a choice. It was simply who she was. After an acclaimed career in residential, commercial, and retail interior design, she returned to creating with her hands, producing one-of-a-kind textile artworks and seasonal pieces that have captured collectors across Australia. Working exclusively from her original designs, Sarah creates each piece just once. She doesn't take commissions, doesn't sell through a website, and releases her work directly through her social media community. Behind Sarah's remarkable career is a story of resilience. After a devastating accident in her early 20s, she rebuilt her creative life with determination and purpose. Today, from her home in regional Victoria, Sarah continues to create beautiful, deeply personal works that celebrate craftsmanship, originality, and the enduring joy of making. Sarah, welcome to Her Design, Her Story. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know you've made the trip from Beechworth, so very grateful to have you in the studio. You have had a really interesting career. We were touching on a little bit of it earlier, and you made a really interesting comment about guests who have moved into design, but yours has kind of gone slightly the opposite direction, still in a creative pathway. But I wanted to go back to the beginning of your career journey because I know you started in something quite different. Could you talk me through that first pathway for you when you left school?
Yes. So I grew up in Albury in regional New South Wales and had always been interested in the arts in general, I guess, including music. But, of course, music and art were always on the same line in the HSC back then, so I had to sort of decide, do I go musically or do I go artistically? And I decided to stick to the arts side. And getting to the end of Year 12, I really wanted to do architecture, but it was discouraged. The careers department and various people sort of felt my maths wasn't strong enough.
It's funny, I studied architecture and the maths back then was a huge part of it, which I look back, I sort of think, so you could have got through it with that.
And I absolutely realise that now. I ended up doing quite well in maths, but I think it's a different way of thinking mathematically.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that spatial awareness and this, which I certainly am very strong in. So I think in hindsight I could have very well done architecture and probably should have. But because of that discouragement.
Always helpful.
Yeah. I was really struggling with what to do.
Yeah.
But being in a family, we didn't have a lot. So I had older brothers and sisters who were extremely academic and, at the top of their fields. And it was, whilst we didn't have a lot, we were given a really good education. And it was, without doubt, we just all grew up knowing we would go to university. It was just, there was never an option as far as our family was concerned. So, and I also needed to find a career because, we didn't have, there wasn't a lot of income. There wasn't a lot of money in the family. So for me to be able to survive, I needed to find a good job and I needed a good career path. So I thought I might head down the advertising and marketing route and go more into the artistic, creative side of advertising.
Yeah.
So I went to Canberra University.
Oh, amazing.
And I was boarding, my parents couldn't afford college or anything like that. So I was boarding with a lady who was actually in charge of the accommodation section of the university because she could see we were struggling to find where I could live, and she offered her room in her
how
house to me
amazing.
with her son. So I boarded with her and studied the advertising and marketing.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, for a student who didn't do any economics at school, who did music, history, English, art, I sat in the macroeconomics lectures and straight over my head.
Yep.
I just looked at they were beautiful diagrams. I mean, visually I thought they were
Which
great.
is funny when they're saying to you can't do architecture.
Yes.
Because of the maths.
That's right. I mean, this kind of, facts and figures was I just could not grasp it. And yet the advertising subjects I quite enjoyed.
Yeah.
Although I did realise that the values of advertising didn't quite align with my values.
Yeah.
So, and then I got glandular fever as well, which didn't help the whole situation. So I decided to defer my studies and went back home. And then I moved to Perth, where my brother and sister were living.
Yeah.
And my brother had a big property, so I could work on his property and get better. And at that time I then applied for arts at UWA in Perth and visual arts at Melbourne University. So I had, it's a bit cliched, but it really was one of those sliding door moments. I could have gone to, because I got into both courses.
Oh, amazing.
So I could have stayed in Perth or gone to Melbourne. And my sister decided to, she was going to study her master's, and she was accepted into Melbourne University to do that. So we decided we'd both go to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't also just jump on the train for a weekend to go and see mum and dad back in Albury from Perth. It's so isolated.
So, long flights.
Yeah. So I decided to go to Melbourne Uni and, studied visual arts. And unfortunately, I loved that course. I majored in textiles and graphic design. And there was an education component to that so that you could go and teach art.
Oh, wow, okay.
After a few rounds of that, though, going into schools, I realised I didn't really want to teach.
Yeah.
And the course was closing down at Melbourne University and moved to the College of Arts, and it morphed into a more media-based course, which, again, wasn't really in my interest.
Yeah.
So I moved to Sydney.
Oh, well, full tour.
My parents came down with the trailer and we loaded, the few belongings that I had, and I moved to Sydney and deferred my studies to the College of Fine Arts in Paddington to study visual arts education there.
Yeah.
And this was before, I've got to stress this, my whole career really it's before computers, before computerised enrolments. It was all by paper. So when I got to the enrolment day, they said, sorry, we can't take you. You haven't sent back Form X. And I said, what do you mean? So I couldn't study. I couldn't go into the course.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't know anyone in Sydney. Went across to the telephone box at the Sydney cricket ground and rang mum and dad in tears, not knowing what I was going to do with my life. But as I've done so many times, I picked myself up and I walked into David Jones, and the manager of the HR came straight out and said, I'd like to interview you right now for a job. And it was the most incredible position. It was working behind the scenes with the management, in the management offices, working on all the corporate orders for all of the companies around Australia.
Yeah.
So I did that for a few years, and that's where I learnt to cross every T and dot every I, because I was dealing with big corporate orders, and I basically had their David Jones card and would purchase on their behalf around the store, and they had big incentive programs and personal shopping and all sorts of things that I was responsible for. So it was great.
Yeah.
But over that time, I then sort of got back to that place where I needed to find a career.
Yeah.
Again, it was, really important. So I then decided to study interior design.
Oh, amazing.
So that's it took me a long time
to get there.
But I enrolled. I applied for the interior design course at Enmore in Sydney, which was a very good course. And they had 2,000 applicants, and accepted 30 students.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
it was very hard to get into. But because I had so much visual arts training behind me, my folio was pretty strong. My drawing skills were really strong, and I got into that course.
Oh, incredible.
So that's where that began.
How long was that course program?
It's a 3-year full-time course, but 5 years
wow.
part-time. So because I needed to work to be able to put myself through, I worked through and went to uni for 5 years at night.
Yeah.
So it's a long time and long days when you work all day and then jump on a bus with your folio and your T-square and your set square and your pens and your projects and your models.
I think it's also, I found with a lot of the design subjects going through university was, I guess you could argue this for a lot of courses, but some of the scope was quite infinite. Like you could just keep going and going and going, and it wasn't like, oh, this essay's done. It was quite a rigorous, time-consuming.
Absolutely.
Mistakes were made, you'd start again.
Yes.
Even when I remember studying architecture, we were not on computers. It was all hand drawing.
All hand drawing.
Yeah, which is sort of funny to think back now. It was evolving, but it was certainly we were doing the hand drawing training, and I just remember the hours and hours and hours. And a lot of all-nighters.
Drafting was my strong suit. So I absolutely loved the architectural drafting. And in fact, so for 5 years we studied drafting, and I was employed by my drafting lecturer who was an architect in Rose Bay. Yeah. And I drafted all of his work for him.
Oh,
so it was really strong. Yet in the very final term of 5 years, CAD came into play.
Oh, really?
So here we were really struggling at the very, very, very end. And it was really, it was pointless really. We were so entrenched in hand drawing plans that it really didn't sink in at all. So I still hand draw everything. I still have no interest in computerised drawing at all.
It's funny, there's then that next step. So I've always worked on a computer, but now there's sort of AI and all this rendering, and that I find completely overwhelming. Clients will come to me and say, oh, we've rendered it. And I'm thinking, oh, no. But, I feel like there's always the next thing.
Exactly.
And it's hard to make that adjustment. I did want to go back to your family briefly before we talk about your career in interior design. You mentioned very academic family. Was anyone else sort of following that creative pathway, or is that a bit of an anomaly?
No, I'm the black sheep.
Oh, really?
No, I have lawyers and periodontists and teachers and all sorts of very high achieving academic family. My mum was creative. Yeah. She was the sort of lady that she could do anything. She could draw, she could spin, she could sew, she could weave, she could anything she wanted to set her mind to, she seemed to be able to do. She was incredibly creative, but never had I say she never had any training. She did do a couple of TAFE courses, and I can remember her doing a life drawing course telling my dad she was doing aqua aerobics because she kept coming home with rolls and rolls of drawings of nude people.
It's so funny.
So, they were very conservative country people, my parents. But, Mum was an incredibly creative lady. Yeah. And her garden and floristry and, you name it. She was.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, she was incredible.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So that's probably where I have gained a love of crafting and creating.
Yeah. So you're in Sydney and you graduate from your interior design course. What was that first work experience in the design industry like for you? Yeah,
so I was working for my architect, my drafting lecturer for a while, and then I actually got my first position in interior design, which was with a retail design firm.
Oh, okay.
And they designed all of the Westfield stores.
Oh, wow.
So that was quite interesting. And because I was so strong in my drawing skills, I just loved detailing joinery.
Incredible.
I love it. So
it's often the thing that people don't want to. Yeah.
No, it was definitely my strong suit. We would do a lot of joinery. If you imagine, the display cases and the shelving that's required in
Yeah,
restaurant
retail's like a
stores,
whole
and the small little
yeah.
little tiny space they're renting. We had to really work on the space and the what's the word? The flow of the space was really important because they were so tight.
Yeah, yeah.
And retail design is a real specialty in itself.
Yeah, it is.
I think.
Yeah.
But the great thing about that job was, whilst we were detailing all of the joinery, right next door in the same sort of warehouse, but just with a door in between, was the joiner. So we
amazing.
could draw and then see what we were drawing being built. I mean, for a student, that was incredibly important.
I even find now I try and go and visit the joiners during that process just for interest, and often what we draw in reality might be manufactured slightly differently, or just understanding how far you can push.
And just their knowledge of how you can improve a detail. It's like, oh, yes, that's brilliant. Then you'd go back and you'd fix your drawing and make sure it was documented. What you discussed was then documented. But you learn so much from going into the workshops.
Yeah.
So that you could imagine for a student, that was just, fantastic for someone who loved detailing like I did. So it was a good job. And then the next position I had was with a lady on the North Shore of Sydney who did a lot of residential work, very high-end residential. So for a young girl from the country who'd been, working in the joinery workshop doing retail design, then to come into this world of high-end residential was just eye-opening. Yeah. And, the fabrics. So I guess my first love is drafting and my second love is fabrics.
Yeah.
And to have the kind of budget that she had with the sort of clients that she was dealing with was just out of this world. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Then I had another job with another design firm where there were about 3 designers, so a slightly bigger firm, led by an architect, principal architect.
Yeah.
Principal was an architect. So a lot of apartment buildings, again, sort of North Shore of Sydney, around to the eastern suburbs.
Oh, wonderful, mixed experience.
That's sort of at that point.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to ask me from there on.
I know. Well, you moved from interiors. You've sort of evolved your work now into, I guess, a more making side of your business. When was that sort of period of transition out of interior design specifically for you?
It came a little bit later. So I then, after working with a few different design firms, I sort of realised that I wanted to have my own business. Yeah, I wanted to, develop my own potential as a designer. Because when you work for a firm, especially in a small firm, or with one other designer who is the principal and owner, you're still designing under her name, and it's got to be her. You've got to be respectful of her design and her style, and that because that's what she is known for. So whilst you're her junior, you are still working under her. So I didn't think that my potential had yet been recognised. So I thought the only real way to do that would be to create my own business. So I did that in Sydney for a while and had a fantastic time in residential design and a bit of commercial as well.
Yeah.
And then we sold our North Sydney home and decided to move to Beechworth onto 22 acres from a tiny little plot in North Sydney. And it was that move. We then had 2 children, so life changed quite a lot. And being in the country, and it was sort of a sidestep. We don't consider it a backwards step in our career. My husband and I. My husband's a construction manager, so we both sidestepped into the country, and we wanted to bring our kids up in a rural setting. Yeah, gorgeous. And that's where Salisbury Maude was born. It was created in Beechworth, and it's a Beechworth brand.
It's incredible. Could you talk a little bit around what you offer through that brand and
It started in interior design, so I set up a very small boutique by appointment only studio. I had Beechworth is about 45 minutes from Albury, so it's on the Victorian side of the border.
Yeah.
So I knew that region very, very well.
Yeah.
And I thought, why not bring this, city mentality of architecture and design and finishes to a regional place?
Yeah.
There was nobody at the time providing, what I consider, real interior design services.
Yeah.
And I thought, why not? I think they should have access to all of this. And again, it's before anything was online, before you could Google anything. It was before computers. So to take that to a very small rural area was quite groundbreaking.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very successful little by appointment only.
Oh, that's amazing.
boutique.
Yeah. Because Albury, and I've spent a bit of
Yes.
time going through it, and I've always been amazed at how quickly it's evolved, and it's such a big
it's a huge
sort of
region.
place now. Yeah.
Even back growing up, Albury has been an important region because it services a huge radius of rural communities.
I guess, of
So
course,
that's where they come in to do their business. And Beechworth is, on that periphery, and it sort of goes up into the Alpine region as well. So, there was plenty of work. It was really fantastic. It was exciting
amazing.
and my clients were so excited. They were seeing things and seeing fabrics and wallpapers and furniture that they'd never imagined before.
Yeah, it would be such a commitment to have to keep coming into Melbourne to source that stuff.
And to have somebody there to show them how to utilise it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a combination that they'd never had before. That's where it started in Beechworth. I had my drafting table and my desk set up at the back, and then in the front I had a little showroom, and I would bring in, fabric and wallpapers and furniture and some lighting and things. And people just kept buying it. It was just going
That's
off.
amazing.
I couldn't keep up with the supply of, the pieces. So something clicked, and I thought, okay. And there was a really beautiful heritage listed store across the road that came up for lease.
Yeah.
It was a massive floor space and 2 big windows facing the main street. So I could display things in windows and have this amazing space of furniture. So I decided to take out that lease and expand the business. And again, it's before Instagram and everything. And I just think, oh my gosh, if Instagram was around when I had this store, it was it was quite, it was quite new for the times to sort of, for someone to have such a big space of interior design product and
so all word of mouth.
Back. Yeah, all word of mouth.
That's incredible.
But Beechworth is a big tourist town, so we had a lot of tourists from Canberra and Melbourne mainly. It was a great store, and I could employ local women. Our hours were 10 to 3 so that everyone could get the kids from school.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Whilst I had, beautiful furniture and lighting and, accessories, I could also source really unique Australian-made product as well as my own product. So that's when I started knitting again and creating a few things myself, and I'd put them in the store.
Oh, incredible.
So it's where these little lines started blurring between maker and designer. I still have my design studio out the back and an 8-month waiting list of clients. So it was a very busy store. Yeah, it was great.
Oh, that's amazing. Have you still got that store going?
No. So I closed that. So this is the next part of the evolution.
I love this.
I closed that store about 12 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Because 2 family members became unwell.
Yeah.
Seriously unwell. So I was their carer.
Oh, wow.
My kids were little, had all these interior design clients, had a big store, had staff, and something had to give. I just couldn't do it all, and the priority was my family.
Yeah.
So I closed the store and I left my ego in the store and left the key in there, and I shut the door, and that was the end of that part of my life.
Oh, incredible.
And, so this next part is the exciting part, I think. I mean, I've had a great career in interior design, and I think everything you do gets you to where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
So you may not know it at the time, but all these little lessons that you have in life are getting you to that point in life that you're meant to be. And although it was a very sad time, my mum passed away.
Yeah.
My other family member fought really hard and she's fine now,
Yeah.
which is great. But it was a very difficult time, but it also gave me time to think about what it is I really want to do.
Yeah.
It also meant closing the store and stopping, the design work meant there was no income coming in from my side of our relationship. So it was tough. So what I did was I looked around at what I did have. I didn't think about what I didn't have. I thought about what do I have, and I knew I had a whole lot of training behind me, a lot of design skill, a lot of business knowledge, a lot of tenacity.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fabric.
Yep.
I had a lot of fabric.
The good textiles, yeah.
You know what it's like. You just collect pieces from various jobs, or the fabric houses would give me lengths of fabric, and because I dealt with a lot of fabric, doing a lot of work over the years, and so I could utilise that fabric somehow, but it was just the how.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when I started making things, and Salisbury Maude morphed into a handmade creative studio.
Oh, incredible. And now looking at sort of where your business is now, I know you do utilise Instagram in a great way, because obviously that gives you the ability to broaden your reach, and I find it interesting with Instagram, I often get fed things and I think, ooh, and I end up buying things from all over the place, which is great.
Yes.
Is that a lot of how you sell your product? Is that purely through sort of an online?
Only.
Online
it's
only.
exclusively on Instagram and Facebook. I don't even have a website.
Oh, amazing.
No, the reason is that I don't have any excess stock.
Yeah.
So everything I make, as soon as I
Just
make it, I put it up for sale and it goes within minutes.
Oh, that's incredible.
There's no reason for me to have an online store. There's nothing available for people. Instagram has been just amazing for me. And interestingly, my kids were on Instagram and I used to say, get off that. What are you doing, kids? Get off that. And, of course, they wouldn't, And so I thought, okay, I'd better understand what this Instagram thing is all about. If my kids are on it, I need to know what it's about.
Yeah.
So I got them to show me and I thought, I think I could use this. So when I started making quilts with my fabrics, I would put them on Instagram and friends on there started buying them. So it was sort of, by accident really that.
I love that kind of organic, because I think there's so much stuff, quite rightly now, but obviously because it's a tool that's been around for a while, some brands are very strategic about how they enter into that platform, and it's all very curated and stuff, which is wonderful, and that serves a different purpose. But I think there's something quite endearing about that organic approach.
I often say that everything I do is handmade.
Yeah.
My business is handmade. My Instagram page is handmade.
Yeah.
Everything is just me having a go and figuring it out. And I've done that my whole entire life. I've, stood at the telephone box at the Sydney Cricket Ground bawling my eyes out, and I had to just work out how to get myself through.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of money. There wasn't a lot of I didn't have connections.
Yeah.
I was really had to rely on my resilience and commitment and, just constantly trying.
Yeah.
And I've always thought to myself, I'm not silly enough to get into really big trouble. Just have a go. If I ever had to work at, just a basic job in a hardware store or a tiling shop, I would do that. So I've always just had a go. Yeah. And it's always paid off, luckily. I mean,
that's amazing.
Worked hard enough, and the Instagram was a big learning curve, huge learning curve, and it still is. But I have learnt a lot about how to get the best out of social media. And I think if it's used properly and it's used with that sort of integrity, it's a fantastic tool.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. I feel like I've noticed, I don't know if it's just me being more involved in Instagram over the last couple of years, but I think it can it's a slippery slope with what the algorithm feeds you as well. And I think that's my apprehension for my kids. They're too young at the moment, but it's I think from a work and design perspective, it can be fantastic.
Yes.
I think if you can block out some of the other
Yes.
I mean, I find it funny I was looking for a mirror for someone the other day and then I start getting sent a zillion mirror, which I'm like, you're too late. So sometimes it can be great. So if you're in that right zone, it can be really, really good. And I think, like you say, for that sense, I know there are a few ceramicists and things on there who, again, purely sell through Instagram. And I think it's a great way to be able to connect with a very engaged audience.
Yes.
Quite easily.
I mean, it's by no means perfect.
Yeah.
And I think it's, in the last couple of years, it's become more difficult for creatives.
Well, it's quite sad. I feel like there's a lot.
Yes. I think it's just begetting the algorithm. You know, I only sell my work within Australia.
Yeah.
And yet Instagram is pushing everything internationally.
Yeah.
And that, you know, and a lot of creators are sort of trying to get Instagram to come back to just showing their work to their followers. And, you know, we don't need to grow bigger. We just need to make sure our message gets out to the people that want to see our work and purchase our work.
Yeah.
So it is. It's by no means a perfect answer. And I don't know if there sort of is, but it's
no, I guess it will always be evolving. I think the good thing with it is, though, if you're sort of scrolling and then you happen to see something, or if it's a brand you keep coming back to, you do have that opportunity to make that quick purchase or think, oh, I really like that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I still use it a lot more than visiting websites.
I think it's great in that you can express to people who you really are.
Yeah.
In a way, well, I do anyway on my page. It's very much an authentically me. I'm not dancing and singing, and don't get that idea, Sarah. I am not doing that, but
get on TikTok.
But I am showing up with my Labrador asleep on the floor snoring, or you know, what's happening outside, because I live on 22 acres and it's beautiful
amazing
landscape. So I show people where I live. I certainly have a line with what I tell people and what I don't tell people and what I share. But, you know, there is a need, and I think if you can open yourself up to people and show, especially now because of AI, and you look at Instagram and you think, what's real?
I know, it's a little bit scary actually.
It is scary. And a number of times we all get tripped up going, oh, that's funny. Hang on a minute, is that real? You know, that's it's very important to show up and show that, you know, your dog does snore. Yeah. As you're sewing, there is a Labrador sitting there snoring, you know. Those things can't be replicated, you know. So it's.
I think it was interesting. I was speaking to a gorgeous girl the other day about a furniture package, and she had been on my website, and I was sort of talking to her about the process of photographing work, and a lot of it is smoke and mirrors in the sense that is not necessarily how those people live in that space. It might be, you know, it's curated for a photo shoot for a magazine, or it's perfect because it's day one and they're moving, you know, that's just kind of the way that we photograph and generate imagery.
Yes.
And we were talking about that sort of disconnect sometimes of the reality of the actual projects we're working on and what that looks like. And I think that's where Instagram's great, because I'm terrible at it, but it does give you the opportunity to do that behind the scenes or work in progress, which sometimes is harder to capture on a website.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there's in my head, I think I've been taught, you know, the rule is sort of 80% product, 20% just who you are.
Yeah.
I think, you know, there are in the interior design world, I mean, when I was in designing, I mean, I've got my client files down in the storeroom with an elastic band around them with a stack of, you know, photographs actually printed of the jobs.
Yeah.
I have not got anything digital.
Yeah.
In all my hundreds of projects that I've worked on over all those years.
Yeah.
So interior design, you know, these days is it's all digital, and the pages are highly curated.
Yeah, it's different. And it's always evolving. I think this is where this AI
yes,
has changed things because clients can come to you with a lot more information as well.
yes.
Yeah.
But I think, perhaps, in the interior design world, if there was sort of a little bit more 80-20, where there is more truth sort of told about the difficulties of a project, because they aren't all smooth sailing.
No.
And, various, television shows that show renovations and things, they don't. It's very hard for my husband and I in construction and interior design to watch some of those shows because they're not showing the reality or the cost that's involved in a lot of
I know. I've seen
projects.
a few things sort of advertising, come and do this masterclass, and we're saying it costs $4,000 a square metre to build or whatever. And I'm thinking, oh goodness, that's it's misleading. But I think it's also that which I'm sure has probably fed into the success of your business is the communication and that sort of relationship building. I think is something that you can't curate or capture through AI. And I think every project is challenging to some respect, but I think it's those sort of more human components, I guess.
Absolutely. The
really
relationship
can make
building.
Or break.
I think that's you've hit the nail on the head there. I think that relationship building is a story that's not often told.
Yeah. And you can't always teach that to people.
No.
Either. Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's not out there and exposed and shown that relationship building that you have with a client or, with your joiner or with your, they're interesting stories.
Yeah.
It's not just about the curated image in the end product.
Yeah. And
I think those evolutionary stories of going to the joiner and talking to them and nutting something out, or going to, talking to just whoever the services, air conditioning, or you're trying to look at, figure out where to put ducts, and you're trying to, look at your services. I think, those discussions, a few of those discussions more exposed could be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Rather than just always the curated image at the end.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting process. And I guess a lot of your business as well, you've probably got some very loyal clients who have been with you through those years of your store.
Talk about relationship building.
Yeah.
And you would know with clients, you work so intimately with them, you're designing their spaces.
Yeah.
Whether it's their workspace or their home space, it's a very intimate relationship that you build. And, when you are working residentially and you're asking them, how do you live? Tell me how you cook. How do you like to function? You're asking those sorts of questions. So you do build up a wonderful relationship. And, yes, I've had the most incredible clients support me.
Yeah.
And so it's given me – so, I still call myself an interior designer even though I'm creating things these days, because I will still be contacted by old clients from 20 years ago.
Oh, amazing.
Will ring me and say, Sarah, can you just, I need to get new carpet now, or we need to replace a light fitting, or we need to do this or that, or we've got a builder coming in. What do you think?
Yeah.
And I'll always help them, and I'll help them for free.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't charge them. It's a way for me to give back and to say thank you.
And I think sometimes it is that relationship. I think we were talking before, I've had an old client contact me recently and she said, charge me for the hour. And I was thinking we've just gossiped for 50 minutes and worked for 10. But it is, I think, because you do spend so much time with people, you become quite embedded in everything going on in their lives, and then it sort of stops.
Yes.
Not abruptly, but, like if you're not necessarily doing furniture and all those things, it's sort of there is a finite date.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I was listening to one of your podcasts and you were saying there was a project after 3 years that was coming to an end, and you felt quite sad about it coming
we'd
to an
been so
end.
involved in the holidays and work, and a lot can happen to people in 3 years as well.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, those relationships that you build are important, and often forever.
Yeah, and it's hard because they're not always perfect either. I think it's sometimes being able to know when to walk away.
Yeah,
a little bit as well.
Yeah, that's so true.
I did want to talk to you. Obviously, relationships and family are key. Have you got 2 children?
2 children that are adults now.
Adults. What's that sort of balance been like for you? Because I feel like it's a lot more, I guess, commonplace now that both partners are working or, you've obviously had quite a prolific and busy career. What was that like for you, sort of juggling with kids in the early days?
I was lucky in the early part of my career in Beechworth. My mum was about and she was able to help me with the kids. So it was actually a big reason that I did start my own business in Beechworth was because I had that support.
Yeah.
But that was definitely a win-win-win situation.
Yeah.
It was a win for us. It was a win for my mum, who was on her own at that point. But it was a win for my kids because they got to spend so much time with their grandmother.
Yeah.
So it was a really important time for us all.
Yeah.
And we, interestingly, we paid my mum to help us because she couldn't afford, a lot. So we actually, paid her, which helped her, put petrol in her car and to have a roof over her head. And it meant that we had someone that we trusted and, she picked up the kids from preschool.
Interesting. I've got a few friends that do that now.
Yes.
And I actually think it puts a lot of value on that.
Yes.
I guess that role that they're playing because
That's
we
right.
would otherwise be paying a babysitter or and I think it also helps set a bit of a parameter.
Yes.
Because there is that I guess formality in a sense. I know it's family, but it's still not someone saying, I've actually got to go. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to get there and help you tomorrow because something else has come up because it's a little bit unstructured. I think in some respects it's putting a level of value.
I think so
in a good way on the involvement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was definitely a good move for us. It gave me that opportunity.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But growing up with the kids in the country, it's very different to in the city. I mean, the kids
more relaxed,
much more relaxed. The kids had 20 acres to run around on, and
that's incredible.
We were building a house. In amongst all of that, we were also building our own house on this block of land. So because I was working, my husband was working, and because we were a tourist town, you could never close the store on a weekend because that's when all the customers were there. So I would pay for the girls to be in the store on probably Sunday and then on Saturday I would work, and then on my day off I'd be out there with a plank of timber, building a house frame with my husband on my day off, and the kids were just running around 20 acres making cubbies, and they had the most incredible freedom and fresh air and.
Have they stayed in a regional environment?
So interestingly, they went to boarding school in New Zealand, which
homeland.
My son had a music scholarship over there, and my daughter went over there as well to Christchurch. They both returned to Australia to go to university.
Yeah,
and they both live in Melbourne.
Oh, amazing. So not too far.
Not too far. Yeah. I think it's easier if you grow up in the country, you can access the city, but it's much harder for city people to access the country.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's I've loved my life growing up in the country, and I'm glad we did the same for our kids.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. I also wanted to touch on, I guess, your source of inspiration, because you've had this sort of continual thread of creativity through your career.
Yeah.
Is there a particular way that you get inspiration for new products you're making or project work?
My inspiration with my career now in making quilts and knitting and all the things I make comes from the seasons, actually.
Oh, amazing.
So Beechworth is lucky that we do have 4 very distinct seasons. We have very, very hot summers, but we have a very, very cold winter.
Yeah.
And then, autumn and spring. So I work seasonally. So in summer I'm working with lighter weight fabrics.
Yeah.
In winter I work with Scottish tartan and tweeds.
Oh, gorgeous.
So very heavy woolens, and I knit.
Just like my coat today.
Yes, just like your coat that I can see over there. It's beautiful.
But tweed inspired. Yep.
That's right. So, and then, Christmas is another season and Easter is another season, and, looking out my window, I have the most beautiful aspect. And, I can see the foggy winters and then the dry hot,
Yeah, and I guess the seasonal colour
It's
change, yeah.
seasonal colour change. And that really influences what I do, and it influences the colour palette.
Yep.
And sometimes I'm not even conscious of it, but I
Yeah.
look through my Instagram page and you can actually see a set of photos that's brights and then sullen colours, and then it sort of moves into the spring,
Yep.
pretty colours. It definitely does influence the colours that I work with.
I love that. It's very of the moment.
Very,
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah, that's great. Before we wrap, I wanted to ask you some quick questions in her edit.
Okay.
Can you remember a first design or craft-related purchase you ever made?
That's a difficult one because I never had a lot of money to spend. It didn't come until maybe about 10 years ago.
Oh, that's amazing.
Um,
yeah.
My first big purchase, though, it wasn't exactly craft or design related. It was music related. And because I'd always played the cello,
Yeah.
but I never had my own instrument.
Yeah.
So I used to have this instrument that my parents could afford to hire from the school, and it had a big crack down the cello and
Yeah.
it'd all been patched up. But that was the instrument that I had.
Yeah.
And so my very first purchase really was a cello.
Oh, that's incredible. And you're still playing?
I still play a little bit, yeah. But it was my first big purchase. But my first big design purchase would be a painting by Belinda Henry.
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah,
Yes,
beautiful.
who I absolutely adore her work.
Yeah.
So that was about 10 years ago I made that purchase. That would be the big design one.
Yeah, that's
for me.
good. Worked hard for it.
Yes, I did.
Feels extra good.
Yeah,
extra
that's
good
exactly
to buy
right.
it. Next travel destination, actual or aspirational?
Oh, travel. So we've had 3 overseas trips. Last one was in 2024.
Yeah.
And we toured 9 countries in 9 weeks.
9 weeks,
driving.
how amazing.
Did 9,000 kilometres.
Oh, wow.
We lease a car and we take our 2-man tent in our suitcase and our camping gear.
Love
And we
that.
camp without a plan and just go from...
Was this in Europe?
This was Europe.
Yep.
So we went from Netherlands up into Denmark, Sweden, Germany, Czech Republic, Austria, Switzerland, and finished in Milan. So without a plan, we went from Netherlands to Milan, and we just
Love that.
found campgrounds along the way.
Yeah.
And then we would stay in the major cities for maybe 3 nights in a hotel, but I would just book those as we were approaching. So there was no plan to anything.
Yeah.
So we have got another trip planned next year to Norway.
Oh, incredible.
So when we leasing a car is a really good tip, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a great way to travel. But we couldn't take the car into Norway in that trip. So we've decided to do Norway next year.
Yeah.
Probably 3 months or so, and we're going to hire a camper van. So we're not going by tent this time. So that's a big change. But again, we'll have no plan and we'll just meander our way.
I love that. I'm so structured. I need to let go. Maybe I'll get to a point, I think, because of our kids' age as well. I feel like everything's very orderly. But
we
I
actually
love that.
went with the kids and did the same thing. And we went from Paris to Rome, and they didn't have their mobile phones. We told them to leave them in Australia. We gave them a paper map, and they had to get us from Paris to Rome, and they dictated the journey where we went. So and we had 2-man tents.
Yeah.
So they were camping next to us. So that was pretty amazing. But I do know when I mentioned that to people who are quite structured and like they sort of get a little bit.
Oh no, I actually wish I could be a little bit more low key with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get to an age where, as I said, I feel like with kids and I don't know. I also love planning things.
You love planning.
Love planning.
So I still to this day when I'm at home I'll just go, oh, haven't been down that dirt road before, and I turn off and I'll take that dirt road. And I often think I might be out in the middle of nowhere, and I think if anything happens to me, nobody is going to know that I've gone off on this road. But I've done that my whole life. I've just, what's down here? And I'll just take that road without any thought and just see what I discover.
Yeah.
And the thing I love about that kind of travelling is because I'm so visual, and it gives me the opportunity of seeing things and discovering things that I've never seen before, never even had researched. Or
I also think with a lot of those smaller stops along the way through Europe, it would be impossible to know.
anything about
unless
them
you've researched
ahead of
and
time.
researched.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something quite wonderful about happening upon a smaller town
Absolutely.
and not necessarily having too much predisposition to what you're going to see and do.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And there's one moment I can remember in Scotland, and when we travel, we usually take Vegemite in a tube.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when we were in Scotland, we were on the North 500 route, and we just pulled off onto this track to have, a roll with some Vegemite in it on the side of the road, sort of thing. And we sat down on some rocks, and my husband got up and walked to the edge. We were on a coastal area.
Yep.
And he just stood there and he just let out a whole lot of expletives. Just let them rip. What's going on? And he said, come over here. And when we got to the cliff, there was a whole fishing village in ruins below the cliff. And the whole thing with a jetty, stone jetty. There was no signage for this, by the way. It was just there off the road. And it's those moments that you just can't, that just happen.
Yeah.
That create this image in your mind. And you talk about inspiration. I mean, it's moments like that that inspire me, to my core. Seeing that, and then we wandered down and wandered through all the little houses.
I think it's that sense of discovery.
Incredible.
And it's funny, the first time I went to Japan a long time ago with my now husband, we felt very intrepid at the time because our phones didn't work in Japan at the time. The broad width or something was different.
Fantastic.
So I remember arriving and sort of smashing out something in Japanese to my parents, like we've arrived basically at some internet cafe. And it was very much pick your own adventure because no one spoke English. There was no Google Maps.
Were you okay?
Yeah, we were fine. We had this amazing time, but it's funny. I like to be quite orientated and know where I am.
That's what I mean.
I'm like that. Yeah. So having gone back now with Google Maps, part of me felt like we got so much more out of it because we actually knew a little bit more about where we were going and doing. But on the flip side of it, I thought, that element of adventure has kind of disappeared a little bit. Like you still discover new things or see different stuff on the way, but because we weren't looking at our phones or fixating on what train we were catching, there was an element of, just complete sort of adventure to it because we're just winging it every day.
Old school travel.
Which is good.
It is.
Favourite creative icon, living or legend?
Brett Whiteley has been an incredible influence on my life.
Yeah.
His ability to draw, his expressive brush strokes. He has, and his use of colour as well.
Yeah.
He has been a big influence. But, it's the little people. Like, I have people like, Lee from Bountiful Botanics and Naoko from Dots and Lines who makes ceramics. And it's the little people, not just the big legends of our world and our design world that inspire me. It's the little ones.
Yeah.
So, that's a broad answer to your question.
I know, it can be hard. And I think there are so many people that I certainly look to in that regard as well for different things.
Yeah.
As well.
And there's the architecture, current architecture of Kennedy Nolan really inspires me.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And there's plenty of aspirational, imagery and people but I really admire and look up to a lot of the little ones that are out there having a go wonderful as well. Yeah.
Final question. If your star was a celebrity, who would it be?
I found this because I've listened to your podcast and I absolutely love listening to your podcast because I've always had this, this understanding everybody has a story. And I
Yeah.
love the stories that you bring out, especially because they're design related and
Yes.
interiors related. And I knew you were going to ask this question. And I spoke to a friend of mine back home who's a brilliant artist. She's a Solman finalist, wonderful artist, Therese Shanley. And I said to Therese, I've got this podcast coming up and I've got this question. I'm really stuck. So I asked, I said, this is what the question is. And she just went straight out and said, Sam Neill.
Oh, amazing.
Which
who was
created
lost.
a tear, obviously, because we just lost Sam Neill.
Yeah.
I don't know Sam Neill. I'm just one of those people that admires him for his work.
Yeah.
And I was almost gobsmacked that she put me next, anywhere near Sam Neill. And I said, why, Therese? She said, because he doesn't pretend to be anybody he's not.
No.
And I am so honoured and still quite emotional that somebody who knows me so well in my work considers me that way.
He's also someone who, having grown up in New Zealand, he was quite prevalent, and I think his daughter I remember he was filming something, and so his daughter, one of them, would sort of come and go from our school a little bit, and it was always this sort of, but he was very down to earth.
Yes.
And he also was quite present around Queenstown because of his amazing 2 paddocks, which I do quite enjoy his wine. Yes. But he always had this wonderful sense of humour. But I think there was that sense of constantly exploring different creative pathways.
Absolutely.
So the winemaking, he had all these pet pigs, which was always quite funny because he had named them after all these celebrities he knew, which I always thought was quite funny. And but always seemed to remain very down to earth.
Very, very authentic, down to earth. And I think the thing is he really loved what he did.
Yeah.
He loved his acting, but he equally loved his farming and his winemaking. He really loved it.
So I almost feel like I'm more familiar with his wine business because he was such a sort of a big influence, I think, in the New Zealand wine scene.
Ah, that's really interesting.
But
whereas for us, it's his acting, I guess, in Australia.
Yeah.
But I think that sort of earthiness of him perhaps is what reminded her of my work.
Thank you so much for your time today, Sarah. I've absolutely loved speaking with you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Brilliant. Spot on.